Hello, beautiful soul. How are you doing? It's your girl Esther Joy coming at you with a live video. And today we're going to be talking about a story all about you. Now, I'm pretty excited. It's going to be Beautiful Live. I'm co-hosting it with our beautiful co-creator of the storybook Scared to Be a Butterfly that is coming out next month. So excited. So we wanted to talk a little bit about a story about you, but also just the impact storytelling has in humanity, the role it has, and also hopefully just get some tea, what is good. Hello, the sweetest honey pie, beautiful to see you. Hello, oh my goodness, beautiful souls. But yes, our beautiful co-host Michael is gonna be hopping on. What's good, Domingo? And we're gonna get into it. So let me just make sure that Michael is able to join. Okay. There we go. That's good. I think I did it. But yeah, what is good? Good to see you. Hello, Michael. Hello.
Hey
Yeah.
everybody. Hi Esther.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking a little bit about a story about you, Michael. And, what's up with the title? What's up with that? Uh, what, what is the story about you? What do you feel is the significance from even the saying? I know in the book, there's a big significance with this being some of the opening lines. And, you were the one that wrote it. So I'd love to get your insight on what
um
it means.
sure. And I think I like that line, like I was saying. Am I okay? Is my sound okay?
Yes.
Right. I like that line. Also, I just want to quickly comment that this is a case where the title, like that you mentioned, is itself a sort of meditation, right? That is to say, one could sit down, and this is how I felt when the title came to me. One could sit down and contemplate, like, what do you mean? Like, how could a caterpillar be scared to be a butterfly, and begin to intuit the lesson that's there of being in one form and then having to change to transform into another, right? And I think that actually leads to the first verse, because for me, for so much of my life, I had underlying, sort of not really expressed, certain types of fears about. I tried to think last night when we were, in terms of reflecting on this, what was the fear? And I would say the fear was, and to some degree is, to be my full self, right? To give yourself over to life, to what you think your purpose is, without hesitation, completely, without fear, right? Like, to be free in that way spiritually is to be a butterfly. That can manifest in various ways, such as, for me, maybe for you, like, okay, I think I'm called to be an entrepreneur rather than work at a company. I'm called to give up my addictions and my, and things that are bring me lower for things that are higher. Even in that sense, right? Lower for higher, caterpillar versus butterfly. So for me, those first lines are, I want to tell you a story about me, right? And it's this story, and like, what's the story, right? And why are you telling me this? Because it's also a story about you, right? In the sense that we human beings are all this process of giving birth to something that's inside of us.
Yes. And I think that's like the beauty of the depth of reflection. Like in those words, it's like, I want to tell you a story about you, me, because it's a story about you, getting the words mixed up, but like it really just makes, like you were sharing a little bit previously, it really makes the other person think like, how can you be talking about me if this is about you? But then like you were sharing that innate capability that we all have that is so much larger than one individual may know with where their perspective is. is just so beautiful to see that we are all connected and hopping on that. What's good, Jonathan or JJ? What is good, Cosmic Roots Alchemy? It really goes to that idea of storytelling and how I feel storytelling plays such a big role in humanity and how we actually relate to one another. Like, I find myself when it comes to actually learning, you can give me the whole periodic table or whatever it is, but you give me a story, like I remember the whole a Pythagoras theorem because like somebody made that a song and it was just so much easier to remember when it was like a little, a little song. And I think the same way we see that storytelling, just being a human being innately, it's like such a powerful way to learn about and from one another.
I just want to add it is, I mean, it's, to be honest, it's deep beyond words. When you think about the tradition of storytelling and of history and of, tracing things back, the idea of storytelling, one reason why it's so powerful, especially in this context, and you as the illustrator, it becomes interesting, is, how would I say it? It's because of, see, if somebody once explained to me about the scriptures like this, like they said, hey, if you give people instructions and they try to just carry them on and pass them on through generations, they will deteriorate like a bad game of phone, a phone tag.
Yeah.
But if you put the story in, if you put the lesson in a story, you're able to pass on the story and the story gets remembered.
Yeah,
because it's an essential part of us.
What is good? I am Indigo. Shika Indigo? Okay. I know if I pronounced your name right. Beautiful name. Good to have you here. And Spiritual Gangster said we are all the same, just have different habits. And yes, I'm so happy you could tune in this morning. But yes, I agree that like we learn so much again, like we're all the same, and that's why stories I feel are so impactful because they'll take things like you said, like the scripture, the Bible, and they'll put it in a concept where we can understand how God incarnated and his word is still living, and this is just kind of to help you with that. But like all traditions, all cultures have their own stories, right? They have their own way of passing down this understanding. And I think that when we look at any good, like I love people who are able to share stories or storytellers, someone who's really able to create a story because of the emotions it can cause. Like you're no longer memorizing a formula, it's literally imprinting upon your emotional body the story itself, because when you're listening to a story you're visualizing it to one extent or the other and you're bringing yourself into that moment, and it's literally like you relate so much with that character that you feel that character when it like I'm really bad when it comes to movies or books when I'm reading or looking at a story, but what is good when the character is going through a hardship, I feel that hardship. If they're struggling, I feel that struggle. If they're victorious, I feel that victory. And I think that's a really powerful way that we use tools to kind of convey more than just the information, but the emotions that are within it and the whole journey and getting a greater perspective. So yeah, I definitely am thankful that this book, for me, being able to create it, it's amplified the repetition that we kind of see. Like, I'm not sure if that's the right way, but like I guess the moral of the story has been amplified a lot. Yeah.
Well, so I will try to practically give the example of what you were just talking about, how it's intellectual, but then it's simplified in the story. So one of the reasons this inspired me, the story always inspired me, is, well, it's the idea of the telos, what's called in Greek philosophy the telos, right? So this is the sort of more sophisticated way. So the telos is just the end of any process. And the Greeks believed that all things had an end within them, like a blueprint. So an acorn, when it is fully realized, becomes an oak tree. And likewise, a caterpillar, when it is fully realized, becomes a butterfly. And so, you know, or a seed becomes a flower, and so on, right? So you can imagine the full, they would call it the full and perfect expression of that thing. So I thought to myself, obviously when the story came up, it's like, well, what is the telos of a human being, right? If the telos of a butterfly, if the telos of an acorn is this, what is the telos of a human being? And it's this process of, what if you were scared to become the thing you were supposed to be, right? By consciousness, if you had a consciousness that allowed you to have some hesitations. And the metaphor in particular sort of taught me itself. Like, I didn't think of it when I wrote it. It taught me itself that, oh, what you are scared of is flying. What you are scared of is being off the comfortable ground where you creep and crawl and rest, if that makes sense.
Wow, no, that makes a lot of sense. Like bringing the context or the moral of the story to the whole title of the book is Scared to Be a Butterfly, right? So, yeah, that fear that we have of like what we already are, what is dwelling within us, what we're designed to do, and doing it anyways because that is what we're connected to and that's a part of our mission, like you were sharing. I think this is a story that, like, again, I feel like there's so many ways, there's so many alternate universes, you could say, that have shared the same story. But what I really like about this one is because it's using that butterfly and caterpillar and the interactions that they're having. For me, it really does remind me of like a higher self coming down, showing you what you can be, you know, what your potential is, and just not being able to like comprehend it fully. And so I love that it's in a way that like kids can understand. You don't have to be like, yo, this is your higher self talking, you know, this is literally something that you can see happening in nature already. And that kind of, for me, brings a lot of comfort of knowing like, hey, I'm here to do something. And even if I'm scared because I feel like that thing is pretty big, I'm still here to do it, and that's what I'm gonna do. So this book has been super encouraging with that, and it absolutely was a story about me as well as about you, and I know everyone that reads it. And that in itself, I would love to like jump in a little bit more about like what inspired you to write those words, you know, and the impact you have seen kind of observed through that.
So the being a story about, like I said, about everyone is what makes it, is what gives it its profundity, like I talked about, you know. The first time I experienced this, so when I wrote it, of course, I had in mind that this is what I was sharing, that what I was sharing was, and it was actually a little as a footnote, it was a lesson, like the thing that we are destined to be, because we're human, we want to try and work at it. And this goes so different from what so many people say, but the lesson, the nature of the butterfly taught me this itself. The thing that we are destined to become spiritually is already in us.
Yes.
You see? It's a blueprint that exists like wings, you know? And again, when we contemplate that, we're like, oh, about how I was afraid to change what I was, to become the full version of myself, scared to become something new. So partially, it's just recognizing, almost like, you know how a really practical way to think about it is, we're scared to be free. We are scared to be totally free in a philosophical sense. So I think about that, of course, for myself and wrestling with it and the real process of what it's like to like struggle with that, like to be in a cocoon. And then as I started to share it, of course, I see that in humanity, in all, right, the other versions of myself. And I would definitely say, like I told you earlier, one of the interesting things was, I feel like this was destined for you, right? Like I had this story, I told you, I wrote the title down, and I had this story for like 10, 15 years at least. Then on your birthday, I was like, oh, you know what? Let me send this. I think I have a feeling my sister will like this. And then you read it and you're like, oh, this is great. And I was like, wait a minute, and it occurred to me to have you illustrate it. But then as we started talking and wrestling with the content, I was like, oh, wait, this is a story about her too. This is a story about Esther. This is like
This is a story.
God destined for
Yeah.
you to draw this or illustrate this, is how I feel.
Absolutely. And I love the comments, Book Wayfair said, unlock the door, step through and watch people fear. Oh gosh. Well, fearless. We want that fearlessness. But yeah, we're infinite spiritual beings having a temporary human experience. Absolutely, spiritual gangster. And love you, Arya. Love you just being here. And we're here to become something new, even if we're afraid of it. But yeah, those old negative beliefs and programs, yeah, we got to get that alchemy transmuting them. And I think that during the process, like you said, Michael, I was like, yeah, wow. Like that's when you first read the story, I was like, this is about me. I've literally been thinking about this, this analogy, and I've been thinking about like where I am in the stage of, transformation. So yeah, I thought like this story is definitely about me. And that's the beautiful thing, is that the story, though it could be shared and broadcasted and read by like millions of people, still has a personal and intimate connection or relation to them and their situation. And I think that's like, again, beautiful part of storytelling, but more so something that to firsthand experience it through creating this book has been like on another level of experience. And it's something that the book itself also went through, I feel, just not being sure of how to publish it and go about creating it. And going from that to now getting so excited that next month it's gonna be out. People can have it in their hands and read it and share it. Like that's so exciting and a little scary, I'm not gonna lie, but it's awesome. It's so cool. So yes. We're looking forward to that. If anyone has any Q&As, now is the time to drop, if you have anything you'd like to add and you've been watching us. But yeah, I just wanted to close off by asking you a question, Michael, about how you feel the story. I was gonna say how you feel other people may perceive this story about being about them. Yeah, like
Actually, that's kind of a good question. If you have another form of it, you can let me know. But when you were just explaining a few minutes ago about how you felt about it, and there are different senses, right? Like you can feel, oh man, like I used to feel like, well, how am I going to get this done? I don't draw, and all these other things that come up. But the resources will be provided, in whatever they are, right? Like nutrient, but I think what people honestly, this is getting like profound about it, but I think what this story will do for a lot of people is it'll push them and sort of confront them on whatever they're afraid of, because that's I think the stage we are in now. We are in this point at this time in history for our culture where we're supposed to be manifesting our gifts, and that's a way to think about it, right? Like our wings, right? And I think for all of us, there are certain challenges, fears, etc., that are confronting us, and this is what this book is about, and in a way, what the whole experience, or if I don't know if I want to call it a movement, right? But the conversation and the essence of the story is about.
yeah, no, I think that's a wonderful way to like word it, especially like just noting, I think my dog's kind of snoring here. I don't know if you can hear him, but
Mm-mm.
nice, okay. But no, especially with everything happening, I think it's so important for us to understand that it's not a time you can be scared, but do it anyways. Like do what you're here to do and know that you're being supported by like such a loving and life, like full of life force. Like you'll be good, you will be okay. And this book has helped a lot, it just helps a lot with the things that I really wanted. I just like writing books. I think it's so cool, and this is the first one that I fully illustrated in color, which is like awesome and so cool. Like it's been such a journey, and I didn't think I would ever uh like draw like with 30, 40 pages worth of like just art, but I did it, and I was scared I wouldn't be able to. I'll be honest. I'll be honest. But
I am so grateful, and I just want to express that too. And hopefully we'll share some of the drawings in the upcoming of some of these particular
you want to
verses.
see any, just tap the link in the bio. Tap the
Yes,
bio.
yes.
Scared to be a butterfly. You just swipe, bam, there it is. It's in mine and Michael's bio, Creative Learning NY. So if you want it right now, call to action. Tap the link in the bio, reserve it. It's not out yet, but you'll be the first to get an email when the pre-sale is open next month. So you definitely want to hop on that. Check the link in the bio. Come back and let us know that you did that by saying done or something. Haven't already, but yes, it's the link in bio. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
I just wanted to say that, like, being able, what I said to you earlier, and I had written down, like, being able to do this is itself so powerful and rewarding. Like, to take what is first like a feeling, a thought, an idea, and then totally bring it to life, and knowing that the process of bringing it to life is an example of what the book is about, you know? So I'm just really, yeah, I have a lot of gratitude that I wrote it, that you said yes, that you illustrated it, and that we pushed past the difficulties. Because, I think we can acknowledge there were difficulties, like coming up with not just, figuring each other out, but figuring out the process. But it's kind of like the beauty of it in the end is what makes it worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the struggles had to happen and they taught a lesson. I think a lesson that will ultimately make it like they needed to be learned in order for the book to be created. And
Yeah.
so like it forced us to go in our cocoon a little bit, and I'm so excited. Like I really was doubting for a little bit. I was like, yeah, it'd be cool to like do this book, but like that's a lot of drawing, it'll be like, okay, we've got to figure this out. But now that it's actually like we're getting to the final stages and we're seeing it really just come together, it's like, wow, this is what this is what we're here to do. It's coming through, and it's so encouraging to know that this story is just a reflection of, our journeys, of our path, but it's also almost like an echo or a ripple to share with others that are going towards really tapping into their best selves. So those are my final words. Definitely check out the links in our bios. Please reserve. Just put your email, your name, even DM us if you're feeling like you're too lazy to tap the link in bio. Just let us know that you'd like the book so that we can keep you updated and that you will be the first people to know when it's out. I think that we have talked and mentioned doing a little bookworm or bookworm army for anyone who might want to learn a little bit more about self-publishing and what that looks like. But yeah, Michael, any last words? Thank you again for your time.
I'm grateful, and I'm glad that this story about me is also a story about you.
Period. That's wonderful. And yeah, thank you so much, all you beautiful souls who joined in. We know you came because you resonate with the story and that maybe we're living a very similar story. But thank you so much, Spiritual Gangster. Shout out for being here the whole way through and sharing. You guys are
Thank
all.
you. Thank you to
Yeah.
everybody. Thank you, Domingo, Isaiah, everybody who's here, Aria.
All right, yes. All right. We love you all and we appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Definitely reserve your copy of the book. Reserve before the pre-sale because you don't want to miss out that. We want to give you the best deal we can for being here early and learning about it. So yes, enjoy the rest of your day. Namaste and God bless everyone. Bye.